Hello! Today I'm going to be making a very pared down version of a matzo ball soup. I'm going to be using Manischewitz matzo ball mix, and it's a lot easier, so I highly recommend it. I'm just going to take that mix, combine it with 2 large eggs, down a bit. And I'm going to blend this with about 2 tablespoons of oil. So I'm just going to mix that together. And now I'm going to add my matzo ball mix. This takes a lot of the guesswork out of making matzo balls. I just find it to be a lot easier and hassle-free. I like to make the matzo ball mix before I start prepping my vegetables for the soup because this does need to take some time in the refrigerator to cool off and firm up before going any further. Over the past couple years, I've learned a lot of recipes from a lot of my friends and other family members, and so I have started adding some dill to my matzo balls. It just tastes really great, so that's what I'm going to do now. And I'm just going to add a little bit. Mix that in together. And pop that in the refrigerator for a while. Okay, so this is not at all a traditional recipe. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants with ingredients that I have. I'm pretty much just going to be putting in garlic, onion, celery, and carrot with my matzo balls. I don't eat meat, so I'm not going to be starting this with a chicken stock or a chicken base. I will be using a vegetarian chicken broth. So I'm just going to smash my garlic and kind of put in those chunks. I kind of like when I eat a soup to get really large chunks of garlic. It's really lovely and really soft, and it just tastes so good. Okay, all of my garlic has been smashed. And next part is the onion. Onions do make me cry a lot, so we will see how this goes. just going to be peeling the garlic here. The onion here. I do like to save all of my scraps from onion and carrots and garlic and pretty much all that stuff to make my own vegetable broth, which I will be doing shortly. I'll soon have enough ingredients to be able to do that. So I like the garlic in chunks, but I will be cutting up the onion into diced pieces. Not too fine of a dice. This is a pretty small onion, so I'm not going to bother with cutting it up into smaller pieces. Okay, that wasn't so bad. I do like to get my garlic and onion and my aromatics started off in my pot ahead of time before I get the rest of the vegetables going. I do that with a little bit of vegetable broth, and it kind of really gets a nice base flavor and really brings a nice flavor out of the onions. So I'm going to do that and get started and then come back on prepping the other vegetables. Okay, now I'm going to start with my other veggies. So for the soup, like I said, I'm just doing carrot and celery, keeping it real simple, just like a really basic clean broth. I'm just going to peel my carrots. Okay, my carrots are ready. I'm just gonna have them, not doing anything fancy. I'm just gonna cut them into like little half discs. Nothing too fancy. Sorry about the shaky table, it is very old. I'm sure there are plenty of better ways to cut these veggies. I would absolutely love to take a class in knife skills so I could really learn what I'm doing. But haven't had an accident in a long time and have some pretty nice veggies, so no complaints here. Okay, carrots are done. Now I have to wash the celery. Okay, I've got my celery washed and prepped. I chopped off the top bits and the bottom. If you have composting, compost your veggies, don't waste it. Otherwise, if you make your own vegetable broth, I find my veggie broths to be incredibly flavorful. I just store my veggies in a Ziploc bag in my freezer. And that's been working just fine for years. Just gonna cut that little bit off. Always lose a piece to the floor. And I like my celery to be a little chunky. I don't like it to be super thin going into a soup. It's going to be cooking down for so much time that I feel sometimes like it almost disappears. I'm pretty happy with all of this. The last things I'm going to add to my soup are dill and actually a little bit of ginger. I really like ginger. I think it's delicious. I think it adds a lot of flavor to the soup. So I'm going to prep that. I know a lot of people like to use a spoon method to clean off the skin of their ginger, but I find myself struggling with that constantly. So I just take a paring knife and kind of go for it. Sometimes I also use a vegetable peeler. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it's working just fine. I'm gonna add some like small slices of the ginger to the soup. I kind of want it to impart a lot of flavor, and I want it to feel very fresh and delicious. Okay, time for everything to go into the pot. So my soup is going pretty well. My matzo ball mix is a lot firmer. I know it's not very traditional, but I kind of like to just make my matzo balls, take a scoop from there, roll them out, and drop them directly into my soup. Like I said, I know that's really not very traditional. A lot of people and instruction manuals say to make the matzo balls and boil them and cook them in a separate pot of water, but I really like the flavor that the soup imparts as the matzo ball is cooking. And I started doing it in college when I wanted to cook, and I just didn't have a bunch of pots, and I didn't have a bunch of room. It's never been bad, so I don't really worry about it too much. If I'm concerned about the water level or broth level with the matzo balls, I'll just add more broth or water. And this goes without saying, people, but, you know, we're in the midst of a virus, so wash your hands before doing anything. And if you're super sick, you should not necessarily be cooking for other people, though at this point, everyone in the same household is probably all sick together. I normally just let the matzo balls cook like this, cook halfway. If I need to flip them over, I do, but it's usually not a problem at all. So I'm just going to cover the pot back up again and let this go. Okay, so we've got some soup, we've got some fluffy matzo balls. I'm just going to taste it. So good. Just going to ladle this out into a bowl and enjoy. It's looking pretty good.